Alright, so I want to take a bit of a different approach to a typical tier list for a video game. In particular, we have Tekken 7. But Tekken is a game I grew up with quite a bit. I'm not going to spend too much time introducing myself. I want to head right into the list, so I want to determine who has the best and worst personalities of all the characters in the game. It'll be based off of, obviously there's no one good personality. Everyone has a different personality and all can be equally as good. But are they friendly? Can you be their friend? Would you like to be their friend, or do you find them to be annoying over time? That sort of stuff. And I will explain for each of them. So this is how we're going to start, just left to right. Starting with Alyssa Boskanovich as our first. Now Alyssa, very, very calm, gentle, until of course she goes Terminator mode, and then she is quite the opposite. Though for personality, we have seen her try to hang out in previous games, Miharu, Ling Xiaoyu. She seems like a very good, caring, try to be fun friend. I think she's a good person to start with. Solid A tier character. Just watch out you don't get terminated. And then we have Anna Williams, very flirtatious, very flaunty, kind of self-confident type person. I feel she would not be the greatest person to hang out with. I mean, to everyone's fancy. I mean, she'd be very seductive and things, but I feel like it's false seduction. Obviously, she gets you in and then does some damage to you. I'm not too sure if she would be the worst friend, but I don't think she'd be a very good one. I think she's a B tier. Armor King. Now, there's going to be a lot of characters that suffer from this issue. He can't talk. That's a huge problem. But Armor King is very, very animated, very excitable and expressive despite not being able to talk. So I do believe he'd be half decent for not being able to speak, especially if it's Armor King from previous games. He was a very good mentor to King. He cared quite a bit, and I feel he would do that for anyone who is close to him. So if you were his friend, you can probably bet he would have your back and ensure the best for you if he could. But the language barrier does hurt him, so he can't go to S, but he can certainly stay in A. Asuka, very, very, hate to say it, but I think she would be very annoying over time. Very self-confident, very I'm the boss type of person. Not just with Lily, but in previous games, say like the gang members, making them hug it out and things, and all this sort of annoying stuff. She's kind of the whole I'm the boss, I feel it would only go for so long till you find it very annoying, and I have a very funny feeling even if you were her friend, that would not change. She would still kind of try to be the boss of you. So I think she's just a C tier. No fun at all. Then we have Bob. Bob is he is one that is interesting. He has comments like I'll fight you anytime and not bad, so he kind of compliments you even if you fought him. Obviously he's a little bit confident, but he's not out to hurt you badly, more so just to win the fight. But if you weren't fighting and you were just hanging out with him, I feel he'd be alright. I don't see anything that would make him a bad friend. I just don't see anything that would make him particularly a great friend, aside from being kind, but that should come naturally. So, nothing much to say, so he's a B tier. Brian Fury. I think we can all agree that we all have our friends that are a little bit weird, but I think he's a little too far gone, a little too unhinged to really appreciate having around. I certainly wouldn't want to be in a room with him and then say we're doing whatever, playing games as it was, and he starts looking at me or staring at me. He's very just menacing. I wouldn't want to be his friend at all. In fact, I'd want to stay away from this guy. I think he's our first D tier. Claudio, very very classy, very on top of his elegance. He does have a bit of a two-faced attitude, as we saw with Ling Xiaoyu. He's very confident in his abilities and his self-worth. I feel it would be kind of cool to hang out with someone like him, though I feel like he would be the type to not really care to hang out with you. So it's kind of one of those friends where they're really cool to hang out with. They don't really care to hang out with you in particular. So it's kind of a mix here, but I can't say he's a bad friend. The two-face thing with Ling Xiaoyu, for example, is a little bit worrisome. Due to him being a bit of a two-face, he's gonna be here. Otherwise, he'd be about here if he wasn't. Devil Jin, kind of the same thing. I mean, his personality is kind of just unhinged, as you could imagine, and he's not menacing looking in my opinion, but he's certainly not a regular looking guy. Not that that matters with personality, but his personality is just kind of unhinged and powerful and destruction. Not exactly the best three elements to make a good friend. I can't see anything good happening. I think he's a D tier. I don't think he's any good at all for a friend. Sergei Dragunov, his personality is very quiet, kept and held together. Not exactly going to be the best person to have a conversation with, but I do feel like if you're an acquaintance of him, he would protect you. I don't think he's villainous. I think he's a little menacing though, and I feel like you basically have to carry the friendship. I feel like he'd be the type that is too quiet and never says anything, will never suggest anything, and kind of just goes along with whatever you want to do. So you'd be carrying the entire friendship. He's not a bad friend, just an uninteresting one. More of an irritating one. He might be being here. Eddie Gordo. So, Eddie, I honestly would love to hang out with someone like Eddie. I mean, he was done very, very, very dirty in Tekken 7. But prior to, and even if you can look past the ending, what with Lucky Chloe, Eddie does have very true, genuine, heart-filled moments. When he met with Christy, I think it was in Tekken 5 or Tekken 6, and that's when he met her at the grave after I think it was his teacher that passed, or his father, one of the two. And he was trying to find Kazuya, but he finally made it to the funeral, and Christy slaps him, but he obviously is there just to comfort her and be there. And also, I think it'd be pretty fun to see him do some capo. He just seems like an all-around cool dude when he's not out for vengeance, so I think he's a solid A tier. Eliza, I don't know if it's a huge blast to hang out with someone who's falling asleep constantly. Eliza is a very elegant lady, very tired lady. She's not a bad friend at all by any means. I mean, you have to worry about her taking some blood from you for sure, but aside from that, personality wise, she's alright when she's awake, which isn't very often, as we've seen in her ending and just in her gameplay. And I feel like it could be one of those situations where you don't know whether to wake her up or leave her, and even if you do wake her up, she'll fall asleep again. Not bad, just not good. So, B tier we'll call it. Fakum Rum. I think if I saw a guy that looked like this alone, I would go in the opposite direction. But personality, even his personality is just menacing overall. Especially he's a guy that kind of just grunts unless when he speaks. And when he speaks, it's usually like a challenging, like, what do you fight for kind of thing. I can't imagine having too great of a time with this guy. I think I'd just be worried just to be around him, especially if he spoke. I don't see any good coming from him. He's a D tier. Fang Wei is very boring. Not just personality-wise. Character-wise, story-wise, every time he has a story, he just punches something. He is not gonna be... His personality is just kind of, I want to be the best. He's literally just the Pokemon theme song built into a person. He's just... I don't think he's a bad person. I just think he's incredibly boring. Almost irritatingly boring, so C tier. Then we have Garyu, a very, very animated type person, very jokey. He might be annoying to fight, but his personality, he likes to be humorous, of course. And I think he'd be a good friend, aside from when he's, doing stuff like peeping on Julia in the locker room, like he did in Tag 2. But as a friend, I think he'd be a good friend. I think he would be very funny to hang around. I see good things from him. I think he's an A tier. Geese Howard. I can't imagine getting along with Geese too much. I feel like if you're not a fighter, he's not exactly fond of you, especially if you're a bad fighter. And like, if you try to hang out with him, I don't think it would be fun at all. If he would do something with you, I think all he would care about is being better. On top of that, he is pretty menacing when he's not smiling, especially. I don't know. I don't feel good about him at all. I don't think there's anything good about being his friend. Now here we have Gigas, a character that can't talk really, kind of just growl and snarl. Except he's even worse than Armor King because his conscience is all screwed up. He only gained a little bit when he saw Katarina, but I feel that won't apply to everyone, or basically anyone else. So it would kind of just be a beast. Even if you did get to be his friend, it would be great to have a big bodyguard, but his personality would again just kind of be a beast and nothing much more. And he has the language barrier. I don't see anything of value other than if you do get to be his friend, it would be nice to have a kind of beast like that, so he barely leaves D tier. Only because I don't think he's dangerous to you if things go wrong. Heihachi, very iconic Tekken character, if not the most iconic Tekken character. Everyone loves to see Heihachi on screen and in the videos. Though him as a friend and him as a personality, his personality is great to see, but to actually deal with, probably not. I feel his personality would not be the greatest to be around. He very looked down on someone, very much so, and very self-built, confident. But I don't think he's a good friend. I just don't think he's a lethal friend. I don't think he'd kill you or anything like that. I just think he'd soon get rid of you. Hwoarang. Hwoarang is an interesting... We've actually seen some friendship sides of him. Look no further than his ending, especially like with Jin or Devil Jin. Even though they are rivals, when it came down to it, not just in this game, but even in Tekken 4, when Jin was in trouble, he did dropped their rivalry just to make sure he was alright, even sacrificing himself, taking that grenade to the face for Jin. I think he'd be a great friend. Very caring, very compassionate, and could be very fun. Jack 7, character that can't talk, though he can kind of understand everything he's doing, and he's very comical. Not being able to talk is a huge problem, but even if he does animate to you, I just feel like I know he's a robot and everything, but even the things that he does feels programmed, obviously, because he is a robot. But that's the kind of thing, like, how much fun is it to talk to a robot? Like, could Suri be your best friend, for example? Or Siri, or whatever it is? I don't see it. I don't think he's lethal by any stretch. He's a C tier. Jin. People love this character. Mainly just playing the character, not really the character himself. But his personality is just kind of gloomy. His personality is just 100% self-loathing, basically. There's not much there other than self-loathing. I mean, we've seen like Ling Xiaoyu try to be friends with Jin before, all across several games. More than his friend, but even just be his friend, and it's just kind of, he runs away and I'm too dangerous, and I don't see anything good from being his friend either. Even if you do get to be his friend, it just seems like a hassle. Like with Huaren, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't think he's a danger to you. I just don't think he's great at all. Josie, she can get annoying, I suppose, with her self-confidence, but in a realistic setting, I don't think, at least a true friend, I don't think would get upset with you if you felt self-doubt. I think that friends typically build each other up when they're feeling self-doubt. So Josie may be a person who needs that a little bit more, but aside from that, she can be excitable, especially when she is happy. She seems very athletic, very outgoing, probably fun to hang out with and do things with. Yeah, the crying can get a bit out of hand, but I don't think that makes her a bad friend. I think she's a solid A tier. I want to find an S tier though. Julia, I don't want to compare the two, but I feel she's somewhere around the same thing with Josie, where she can be very excitable, for sure. She can be very happy. She seems very caring, especially for things like nature, where she has a big heart about. I feel she would care the same for like a friend. I think she'd be a good friend. She's a streamer in this game, which I don't understand, but very, very outgoing, probably a lot of fun to do things with. If you're not the athletic type, maybe not good for you, but as a person overall, I feel she has a good personality. Okay, so next we have Akuma. And oh boy, so I feel like Akuma, this is based off a really, really odd situation. But his thing with Kazumi, she did something for him, allegedly saved his life. We don't know how. But he is giving it all to repay the favor. And I kind of feel like that's the type of personality he has. Like if you were to be his friend, it'd be like a he will keep his promises type deal. But aside from that, I feel like he's not really going to be too friendly. Not just because he's not generally friendly, but his personality is just kind of closed off. Very condescending. He doesn't really like people or anyone challenging him or any type of thing. So I feel like he's someone who keeps his promises. Just probably not the best person to hang out with. He's a C2. Katarina. Katarina, very cocky individual, one might say. Very self-centered. I would give that credibility. I don't think that there's many good personality traits to her. I mean, she's very no, I don't see much personality from her other than she just seems to be like a fighter character, not really any personality. She's a C tier. Now we have Kazumi after just talking about Akuma. Kazumi, very gentle, very mentor type figure actually. Does have a bit of a heart. I think that she's a friend who would really push you to be better and help you. I feel like she has that just that mentor quality, that very leadership type, soft, gentle type personality. I think she's a good friend. I think she cares quite a bit. I think she'd protect you. I think she's a good friend. Kazuya, yeah. Okay, so Kazuya is a very interesting personality. When it comes to meeting him, I feel like he wouldn't care for you no matter what. I feel like he's actually a dangerous friend to have, a dangerous personality to be around, in fact. Because I feel like if it came down to it, he would always put his goals ahead of you. So if what he needed to accomplish meant do something to you, I feel like he would do it. I think he's just dangerous overall. He has a very dangerous personality. I don't think I would want to be around him, especially with that devil thing. I think he's a D tier. I think he's in fact dangerous to be around. Okay, I feel like I said what I need to say about King to Armor King. It's the same thing. Language barrier, but can be very animated. I think he'd be a cool friend to have, though, being how animated he is. Although King has quite a big heart, as we know from the older games. The reason he was in Tekken was to raise money for the orphanage. And I feel that's a very noble, very caring thing to do. I think he's better than Armor King, but I think he's an A tier still. So we have Kuma. Now, since it's just personality, I could ignore the him being a bear thing. But the bears are very comical. Their taunts are funny. Their attacks are funny. Their intros and outros. Even in the ending with Josie, who was his rival in this game for whatever reason, he gotten beaten up by Josie, but he still gave her earring. That's all he was there for. Which I believe if you were trying to give something back to somebody and they hit you, I think you would just leave at that point, not hold on to it just to make sure they have it. He's a caring, funny person. Honestly, I think it is our first S tier. I think they got an S tier personality. There's nothing mean about him. We have Kazumi, sorry. Kenimitsu in Tekken 7 at least. Very interesting type person. She has outros like if you need a thief, I am your woman type deal. I feel like that would be kind of the same if you were her friend. Kind of if you need something, I'm here for you type deal. She doesn't really harm people. I know that seems counterintuitive, but in the way that she just kind of goes for what she's after, like with Yoshimitsu. I don't think she wants to kill Yoshimitsu. I just think she wants the sword from him. But then again, I feel like she would also steal from you if she had the objective. But overall, her personality does seem to be a bit caring and be there for you if you need it. But has a risk to steal from you if someone else wanted to. Just like if a friend could turn another friend against you. He's a B tier. Lars is boring. But in regards to his personality, Again, he's very goal-orientated, focused on the task at hand. Again, I feel like he would set aside friendships for business, so he puts the business ahead of friends. But he doesn't seem like a bad person to be around at all. He's not villainous. He doesn't really hurt people that don't need to be hurt. He does fight for good. And we have seen him show some genuine care. I think if it came down to it, though, he'd put business over friends. He's another one of Kanemitsu's. Law has changed a lot over the series. He used to be a lot different than what we know him as now. But since I'm basing this off of Tekken 7 personalities, I think Law in this game, very pompous, very self-centered and confident, and kind of annoying almost. He acts too stereotypical all the time. I don't see anything good at all, really. I think he's a C-tier. Now, Lee Chaolan, probably the most charismatic character of them all. Very, very funny overall. Just all of his endings are awesome. Anyone could agree, Lee is. He's just the guy. He's the man. Lee is he's a definite S tier. His personality, everybody knows what that is. You know, he's awesome. I would love the chance to hang out with like Lee if he was a person. He's an S tier. And while I'm at it, I'm actually just gonna put Panda up there. I'm gonna put Lee as first, but since it's the same thing as Kuma, basically, even though the personalities are a little different. Lei, again, another character that changed a lot over the years. Lei in this game is really cocky, really self-centered. His remarks, does anyone else want a piece and you're not good enough, and very, very annoying. And I feel like hanging out with him is no better. I feel like if you were to hang out with this version of Lei, he would just try to outdo you and everything, and that's all it's about. No, I don't. I think he's very annoying, and I wouldn't want to hang out with him. But he's just not dangerous. Leo, honestly, Leo is kind of like the most human person in the game, in my opinion. And this is going off of just like he reacts the way he should. Like in his ending when he saw Yoshimitsu, saw this thing. He actually, reacted well. So anyone would, weird octopus thing. Kind of as a person normally would if they saw Yoshimitsu walking around. Leo actually seems like a lot of fun to hang out with. Very kind, very gentle, of course, but very human. He does get nerves, but unlike Josie, who just cries immediately, just relax, you can do it, kind of thing. I feel like he's very motivational, a good friend, a joy to be around. I think he's a solid A tier, honestly. I definitely do. Leroy Smith, it seems like he does not have a personality. His personality is just being a fighter. Other than that, his personality is just all attitude. It's all, I'm better, you have no chance, telling you to bring it on, and I'm going to take out the trash. There's no personality. He's just cocky and a fighter. Lily, we've seen how she is with friends. Example, Asuka. And let's just say she's not great at all. Especially like in the ending, I think she bought Asuka's house and is moving in and is gonna stay with her. Yeah, I think she'd be a nightmare to have as a friend. The amount of money she has, she could just buy out anything you have and just torment you. I don't see anything. She's a D tier. She is dangerous to have as a friend. Not dangerous for you physically, but just everything else. No, I would not want that. Lucky Chloe. I absolutely despise this character's personality. Look no further than the endings with Eddie. Even in Eddie's own ending, she is honestly terrible. And even in Jack 7's, she's very, very two-faced. She acts cutesy and all that stuff, but then situations like when Jack 7 jumped off the building, presumably to his death, all she did was say whatever, get up and leave. Didn't even check on him or anything. Very two-faced. I don't think that's a good friend to have at all. In terms of dangerous to have around, I think that she would honestly, say people were coming at you with knives. She's the type of friend that would push you down and run just to give herself. I honestly think it's double D tier. Right back to back. Oh no, we might have triple. Craig Marduk. Let's be honest. If you were in a room with Craig Marduk, just say you were doing something normal. It's the same example as, say, Brian's earlier. You're just playing video games with him and you're starting to beat him and you see him start to get angry. How safe do you feel? I think he's a little bit too dangerous. I think his anger can't be held. I would not want to be near this guy, happy or sad. No, I think he's dangerous. I think he's a D tier. Master Raven. Master Raven kind of has the same issues as Lars and there was one other one I'm not remembering, Kunimitsu, where she's going to put her work before you. So if there was a reason why you need to be taken out, she would do so even if you were her friend. But other than that, her personality is all business, and that's okay. But on a personality tier list, it's not okay. C tier. Miguel. Miguel has what you can call a big heart. I don't really think it's that big of a heart, but you can say that he cared. Like, his whole story is how his sister was taken and stuff like that, and he's trying to avenge her and all that. But aside from that, I mean, he's very angry. He's kind of comical in the way, like, he has that taunt where he whistles towards the crowd or the camera, whatever you want to call it. He can be comical. He can be very pissed off. He tries to do better. Like, in one of his intros, he admits he went to confession and stuff like that, or an outro. He tries to do better. I feel like I wouldn't want to be friends with him for too long. I don't think he's dangerous to you unless you directly did something to him. But is he a good friend? I mean, he could be very comical, I suppose. I think he'd avenge you if something happened to you. He's nudging in between here and here. I'm gonna put him here because I don't think he's terrible if you're actually like a friend to him and everything. I just don't think he's that great at all. He's like bottom of B tier. He's like bottom of B tier, just to say that. Negan. I mean, we've seen him in The Walking Dead. Whether you're his friend or not, if he needs to kill you, he's going to kill you. Even based off Tekken 7 standard, he really does not care at all for other lives as long as his survival is insured. there's nothing really good I could say about his personality. There's nothing quality-wise to really, you know what I mean. There's no good qualities to him that would make him a good person or friend. Other than maybe humor, but that's it. I think his danger factor is concerning. D tier. Nina, again, very much business first. Even when Steve found out with Nina, she just kind of said, you know, you'll never be my son, you're a thorn on my side. So I don't think she's a good friend. Just start off that way. Personality, she really doesn't have one at all. She could be labeled dangerous, being an assassin and all. But I mean, she never kills Anna. Maybe Anna's the only exception, but I could put her here. She doesn't even have a personality. She's just business. Okay, Noctis. Now we've seen Noctis as we've seen his interactions with his friends in his outro, the fishing pole comment, and I think there was a barbecue or a dinner type outro that he has. I would love, honestly, to hang out with someone like him. He's definitely not dangerous. And when I say not dangerous, of course anyone on this list could kill you and could best you in a fight and seriously hurt you. But when I say dangerous, I'm kind of meaning like, what is the probability that they will hurt you? So even though they all can, what's the chances? Like, if you're gaming with them, if they get mad enough, are they going to hit you? Or even if you did something to them, are they going to hurt you? I don't think he would. I think only if you become like a threat to the whole world, he might have to do something. I don't know. I didn't play much Final Fantasy, but I know Noctis. I honestly think he's a good friend. I think he's an A tier. You know what, actually? I'm gonna put him up here. I don't see anything bad about him as a person. I think he's good. Paul changed a lot of the game. Now he's just a retard. Kind of annoying. Very loud, obnoxious. I mean, we all know Paul. We hate to fight him. I hate to hear him. Now, anyway. He's not dangerous, but he's damn annoying. No, thank you. Shaheen, very, 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 very boring. Very, very boring individual. Though, in terms of personality, or lack thereof, if he's a good friend or not, I think he's trustworthy. I think he wouldn't do any harm to you. I think he would help you if you needed it. I think he would be a dependable friend if you hired him as a friend. I feel like he's a friend that would really pay back his O's. Just going off of genuine things. Like, he's really adamant about getting Kazuya just to make sure the world's safety is intact. But I just find him very boring despite all that. So he's middle of the road. B tier. Steve Fox, he got coupled in with it, Law and Paul now, but he seemed to kind of hold his own. Even in the ending where Nina doesn't exactly accept him as a son, when they started shooting at her, he did save her and look out for her. So I feel like that would kind of translate to his friendly side. He would look out for you, friend or foe. He's a good guy. I don't see any huge problems with him. I don't see any huge problems at all, really. Other than maybe, you know, the ending where I think he gave them X-Lax or something like that, or some nonsense. That might have been law, I'm not too sure. But he can go in either or. I'm going to put him in B tier because I feel like there has to be something super spectacular to put you in A, or especially S. There's nothing too I think he's the highest of a B tier. Ling Xiaoyu, we've seen her friend's side when in her endings with Alyssa and Miharu and occasionally Panda. She's a caring friend. For some, she would be pretty annoying. There's nothing terrible about Ling Xiaoyu, honestly, in terms of, you know, friend thing. Even in the Tekken movie, you know, even when she had to fight Alyssa, she felt bad about it and things like that. I think she's a caring individual. Her as a character could be very irritating, but as a friend, I feel like she'd be a very good friend, very caring, loves to hang out, type deal. I think she's an A tier. I think she's an A tier. Yoshimitsu. Everybody knows about Yoshimitsu. Very, very, very comical. Very animated. Jokey. But he also, it does show a lot of signs of care. Like, the ending, same ending as Leo, except his ending, Leo wasn't breathing, I believe, so of course he quickly tried to resuscitate him. It's always nice that he's always looking out for people. He never seems very, threatening. Even when he's gonna fight someone, he just seems like he's just gonna stop them from fighting. Honestly, yeah, I think he's an S tier. Zafina, I feel like Zafina's just that weird friend, and not weird in a good way, just not weird in a bad way. Kind of just like that friend that's really, really, really messed up all the time, and you kind of laugh every now and then, but it's just weird all the time. Like, there's never a moment where you're just, you know, serious or chill. Just kind of weird. You'd never invite him, but if they were tagging along, you wouldn't be mad. I don't know with this one. It's not bad. It's just really not good. I think she's the lowest of the low of B tiers. Threatening C tier. And then Lydia. I think we're actually going to leave on a pretty good note, because Lydia, we know she fights for her people. I imagine she'd also fight for her friends. Even when she fights her opponents, it's always thank you and fight with honor, be respectful. You know, she keeps it very civil, but does fight for the people she needs to. Even moments where she does injure the opponent too badly, she does make sure an ambulance is on the way, which is very nice. I hope most would do that. I think it's obvious to tell she didn't intentionally mean to do it. Not a good example for a good personality, but I feel like she does care for you, friend or foe, and especially if you are a friend of her or one of her people. Isn't really a negative person, wants everyone to be respectful and honor everything. I think we're going to leave on an S tier. So this is how I would rate the personality / friendly test, I suppose. I don't know if I would change anything. If anything, it would be very minor. There's no S tiers belonging in D tier, and vice versa. If anyone has a different opinion or some facts you want to throw in about anything I've said or want to disprove anything, I would love to hear it out. I will respond. If anyone has any suggestions for a new tier list, I would love to do so. Or suggestions for a video at all, I can take a look into it. But I believe these are the best to worst type friend and personality list. Now, they're not in particular order. Some are, some aren't. Lee, I believe, is the greatest friend you can have in Tekken. Either that or Yoshimitsu. If I were to rearrange this, it would kind of look like like that. But D tier is not anything. Just if any of these people are your friends, or if you know any of them, quickly unknow them. But anyways, this is the list. I wouldn't change anything further. I'm happy with it. And I'll see you guys next time.